At the end of last year, there were two things I knew I wanted to do. One was to make more paint-on-glass animation, the other was to animate an apple rolling across the page. Having done this kind of work before, I knew the setup and preparation would matter just as much as the painting itself. So before touching any paint, I wanted to focus on getting the motion right. I started by drawing the action roughly on paper, just to work out the movement. This time I tried a slightly different approach, laying out all the frames on a single page using a grid. That helped me think about the roll as a continuous action instead of a series of separate drawings. From there, I photographed each frame and put together a rough animation to see how it moved. Once I knew the motion worked, I redrew the animation digitally and more accurately. I knew I would need a clear guide for the painting stage, so each frame was printed out to be used as a reference. I kept the size of the scene close to printer paper size, big enough to see clearly, but not so large that it would add unnecessary time to the painting. The day I moved on to painting, the goal was consistency. Once I started, I needed to be able to sit down and execute each frame without interruption. That meant controlling the environment as much as possible. My studio has a lot of natural light, which I usually love, but for this, consistency was more important, so the room needed to be dark. I used a basic light box as the base, covered with glass. The light box was wrapped in plastic, partly for protection, because when it comes to oil paint, I don't fully trust myself not to spread it everywhere. Everything had to be taped down and secured. The light board, the glass, and definitely the camera. My biggest fear during this whole process was accidentally knocking the camera and breaking the sequence, which did happen, right in the middle of the animation. There was definitely a moment of panic, but I was able to adjust things enough to keep going. Thank goodness. Color-wise, I gave myself a lot of options at the start. Looking back, a color test probably would have helped, but I ended up winging it, using colors from my regular painting palette. In the end, I only used about 5 colors. I also made the decision to paint the background only once, instead of repainting it in every frame. I knew the apple itself would be the rough, moving element. Keeping the background stable felt like the best way to avoid too much visual noise. I still had to erase and repaint parts of it as the apple rolled over, but I was hoping it would stay relatively calm. The printed frames worked well as a guide, but there were a few things I didn't anticipate. Even though the paper was white, it blocked more light from the light box than I expected. So for each frame, I had to place the reference underneath, draw the image, then remove the paper to properly paint and color the rest of it. I also had to stay aware of how opaque oil paint is on glass, even the more transparent colors. And glass itself isn't exactly friendly to paint on. A lot of the brushwork here is about controlling texture, but also simply convincing the paint to stay where I put it. Once the motion was established, the work became very repetitive. Most of the time wasn't spent creating new frames, it was spent adjusting what had already existed. Small changes in highlights or edges made a big difference in how the roll felt. This part of the process is slow, even when sped up. In the end, I was able to paint every frame of the roll without missing a capture or completely disrupting the setup. That alone felt like a small yet great victory. By the time it was finished, my desk looked like a creative bomb had gone off. Honestly, I kind of want to frame the photo of the aftermath. All of the frames were scanned and assembled in Procreate Dreams to create a small loop. This is the kind of project where the build-up and the process are almost more satisfying than the final result. But I was really, really happy with how it turned out. The apple moves across the frame, backlit by light, and carries all of that work with it. Once the motion worked, there wasn't anything left to add. Thanks for watching.